How's it going, everybody? What you just heard and saw would be my new GOC Materia 3 Eco 7-string headless fan fret. You may hear my puppy barking in the background. Don't worry about her, she's fine. Had this guitar for about a week now or so. Actually, I think a week on the dot now. And spoiler alert, really enjoying it so far. All I had to do was take it out of the box, set the action a little bit, and this thing was ready to record, honestly. These pickups are very hot, sound really good with any sort of distorted tone that I've put through them so far. Very clear in the low end without being too bright and snappy in the high end for me, at least. They're incredibly responsive with clean tones as well, which I wouldn't say that I'm surprised with necessarily, but of course, plug it in. First thing I have to do is throw it through like a 5150 or something like that just to see how it chugs. And then eventually when you make your way to the clean tones, it's like, oh, this thing can handle it all. Only thing I've done to it since I've gotten it really is I changed the strings for Power Slinky, Power Slinky Ernie Ball strings. Top end is a little bit thicker than I like, and low end is a little bit thinner than I like, but what are you gonna do? Local Guitar Center doesn't really like to sell anything that's gonna tune below B, I guess, I don't know. And they assume that you're not gonna be bending your high E or B or anything too much, so, take it or leave it, I guess. But other than that, this thing plays fantastic. Fret ends are absolutely perfect. Nothing's gonna scratch you or cut you up here. Crowning is perfect. Everything is super buttery smooth. The, what do they call it, Atlas wood that they use for the fretboard is really nice, honestly. Have my Agile here with an ebony fretboard, and honestly, color-wise, yeah, not too far off from each other. And I would say as far as like the density or how hard they feel or whatever, that, I mean, I'm not a luthier, I'm not an expert or anything, but they feel pretty similar. Put that baby back. As mentioned before, this is a multi-scale. It goes from a 27-inch scale length on your low B, or as I have it in A right now, and a 25.5, so that is a 1.5-inch scale length difference there up here on your high E string. Very comfortable, honestly. Middle point is right here, right about at the 9th fret, 10th fret area or so, 12th fret. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, it looks like really 12th fret is the perfectly straight, so guess that makes sense. Zero nut on there, which is pretty cool. I've actually never had a guitar before with a zero nut. I don't notice any like slippage or anything. Nothing is going out of place. Bridges on these guys are super duper cool as well. I really enjoy these. Really easy to adjust your action. This is just these little tiny like rotary pieces down in there. Kind of hard to see. I'm using kind of a crappy webcam. Sorry guys. I literally just took a pair of ceramic tweezers that I had lying around, and I can just put them in there and give them a little twist, and you can raise or lower your action, so it takes about a half a second and you got it set. Tuning is a little bit more interesting than I thought on these guys. The tuning keys are a little harder to turn by hand than I expected them to be. Kind of, obviously a little easier on the lower strings, but the higher the tension gets, the harder it is to tune them. But I got this little Jazz 3 pick here that I'm using as a sacrifice to get into these awesome little notches that they have on here, so that makes that way easier. Buying experience for this guy was, I wouldn't say standard, but I wouldn't say anything negative about it either. GOC has their store up on AliExpress. I've never personally purchased anything from AliExpress, and technically I still haven't. When I went to order the guitar, my bank declined it because it was going to be, oh, there's my puppy. It was going to be a decent amount of money being sent to China. They thought, of course, it's some sort of fraud. This can't be real, blah, blah, blah. So they locked out my card for a couple days, as I found out later on, actually. That's kind of cutting ahead a little bit. But what ended up happening is I messaged the GOC team on their Facebook page directly. I was just like, hey, this is the guitar I'm looking at. This is the color. This is how many strings. AliExpress won't do the stuff, so what do I do to get the stuff? And they just sent me their PayPal info. I shipped them, however much money they told me to ship them. I won't say specifically. That being said, yes, I did buy this with my own money. This is, in no way any sort of like endorsed video, sponsored video, anything like that. They didn't send me this, but yeah, PayPal'd them, sent it off, and like almost 2 weeks, like a little under 2 weeks or so later, which is honestly not that bad, especially right now with everything going on, from China to here. So as far as how it feels is like, you know, with my experience with other guitars anyway, I've heard some people compare them to Ibanez like premiums as far as like, you know, getting the action as low as it can go, how buttery smooth they play and everything, and how the neck feel is. I looked up the specs. The neck, the radius of the fretboard rather, is just a teensy tiny bit flatter than your standard Wizard or Wizard 2 neck. I believe the Wizard 2 is a 5 3/4 fretboard radius. This guy is a 16-inch, so it's ever so slightly flatter. And I will say the actual thickness of the neck was a little bit of a surprise to me. I don't know how well this will translate here, but this is a Wizard 2 neck here from Ibanez. It's my good old Ibanez RG7421. Anyway. I don't know how, I don't think you're gonna get a very good thickness comparison there, but ever so slightly thicker than the Wizard 2. So if you're used to Ibanez necks or even Jackson necks, I would say you're gonna be fairly comfortable on it. It's a, you know, tiny bit of thickness, but nothing that I haven't gotten used to over the week that I've been playing it. Hell, I was used to it by like day 2, I think. Neck width feels like a 7-string. I don't know what else to say about it. It feels like a natural 7-string fan fret neck, as weird as that is to say. Oh yeah, one thing I didn't talk about. I really like the, that's popping up. I really like the locking mechanisms that they got going up here. It's real simple, you know, nothing too crazy about it. You can just feed your string through, pinch it off, cut it off. Easy peasy. All right, now let's actually play it a little bit. I've got this running through one of the tones on that demo that you just heard there. Switch over here. Yes, Reaper, I know. On this particular one, that's right, I've got Bias Effects 2 running. Believe I've just got some, switch axe here. It's a lead, but, you know, I like the tone for rhythms too. Not too much low end or anything there. I wanted it to be pretty fizzy, pretty clear through everything, and reason for that is because this is the tone that's usually a hard pan to the left. I've got this right here. This is my other rig here that I'm using that's usually hard pan to the right. This one is just a little bit, I think this is a 5153, I believe. Oh, she ain't gonna show up for me. There we go. Yeah, 50, there we go. And this one is just a little bit more, mid and low oriented, I would say, just to kind of get the full spectrum across the board. That's how I've always liked to mix my guitars anyway. You have one that's a little bit more of like fuzz pedal, a little more like mid-range, and then you have one that's a bit more of like the kind of 80s like buzzsaw kind of cutting through the mix sort of sound. So not completely even across the spectrum there, and it I don't know, I've always thought it sounded pretty nice. I don't know, just kind of messing around with that one. Anyway, back onto the old switch axe here. Yeah, I just like this tone a little bit more for just playing around on. Get the old strap on. All right, right now I just got her on the old bridge here. Just gonna play some rhythm tones. fun. Then we got middle position here. Here soon I'm going to actually be installing a push-pull here so I can get some split coil tones out of this. I don't dislike how the middle position sounds on this. It just doesn't sound as like throaty and twangy as I'm used to. So throw that on a little bit more of a bluesy tone here. Easy blues, creamy latte. Let's see how that sounds. Sorry, switch back to the bridge there, just out of habit there. Definitely sounds a lot nicer with lower gain tones and clean tones, you know. All right, and then we got the bridge position here back on the metal switch axe. Get back to that. You know what? Let's throw some reverb on this, just cause. Not bad, not bad. Alright, I guess that was more of just messing around with lead tones in general, but you got to hear how the neck pickup sounded at least. There we go. And then for all of my clean tones here, I'm just rocking Archetype Nolly. It's using the pristine clean preset there. I haven't tweaked it at all, honestly. It sounded great out the get-go. Ambient tones. Back on Bias Effects 2 here, we've just got it on the glassy clean preset, and here, bridge position here, just to give that. I've got the volume knob all the way up here. Middle position. And neck position. in conclusion, really, really, really love this guitar. It's honestly been the only one that I've played since I opened it up. I feel kind of bad neglecting my other guitars, but I just don't have anything else like it, and it just draws me to it. Honestly, the only issue that I've had so far, and it's not even at all an issue, I don't even know if it'll show up very well on camera, right on the neck there, you can kind of see a lighter spot. It's like the world's tiniest little chip right there, but the camera couldn't even really pick it up, so like whatever, you know, I honestly don't care. This thing is otherwise flawless, plays great, neck straight, sounds amazing. I love it. I highly recommend checking out GOC. If all of their stuff is anywhere near this quality, it's absolutely worth the money in my opinion. I have played guitars that were worth much more money that didn't inspire me nearly as much as this, and obviously that's going to be different from person to person, but picking this thing up, it was just immediately just like, okay, let's just play all day, you know. And I haven't had that feeling with an instrument in long time. So definitely recommend these guys. Give them a look, you know, look at some other reviews if you're still skeptical. I definitely was at first, just because, you know, stigma around Chinese made things, but this is definitely given me a different perspective. So we'll see what they do in the future, honestly. Hopefully they keep up the awesome work, because this is just insane for the price. So give them a look, guys. Thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed my ramblings. Hopefully this was somewhat helpful for anybody out there who's kind of in the market looking for, you know, some sort of crazy headless whatever in this modern day of guitar playing. So yeah, no, I think these are a really solid option. So give them a look.